Brown's Shedeur Sanders, impressive in NFL preseason debut, tosses 2 TD passes in win over Panthers, AP News. He throws a perfect ball, the crowd rises, and for a moment it looks like the whole stadium is about to catch fire. Then comes the impossible silence. 2 points away from tying the game, the Browns run a wildcat, their rookie quarterback watching from the sideline as teammates try to make good on a gamble that never quite comes together. The Titans hold on. The scoreboard reads 31-29, and 1,000 voices ask the same dumb, awful question. Why wasn't Shedeur Sanders on the field? You remember the stat line because it mattered. 364 passing yards, 3 touchdown passes, and a rushing score. A career day that also stitched Shedeur's name back into Browns lore as the first quarterback since 1950 to post 300-plus yards, 3 passing TDs, and a rushing TD in one game. He looked electric, alive, the kind of performance that makes people stop saying wait and see and start saying maybe. But in a sport that measures everything in moments, not meters, the moment that will be replayed in living rooms and timelines is the 2-point he didn't take, SI. So let's walk it back slow, the way you do when you're trying to figure out how the script flipped. Cleveland clawed back from a 31-17 hole late. Big throws, clutch runs, the kind of comeback people write hope songs about. Shedeur scrambled for 7. He threaded a late touchdown to Harold Fannin, and suddenly the Browns were within a breath. 2-point conversion. Tie game. Game on. Except the play call was not a handoff to the hot rookie with the hot arm. It was a wildcat snap to Quinshon Judkins, lined up to pitch to a receiver on an end around. The screen goes fuzzy. The pitch doesn't happen. Judkins runs past the receiver, the pass gets batted away, and the Titans exhale with the clock. Simple as that. And then the locker room calculus begins. Coaches talk about situational football, about looking at tendencies, about what you practiced and what gives you the best chance. Fans see a human being who delivered his best game and ask a different, sharper question. If not him, why? Kevin Stefanski asked afterward, didn't dance. He took responsibility. That's on me, he said, refusing to hide behind jargon. It's a rare thing in coaching, an admission without scapegoats, and yet it did little to stop the social media pitchforks. ESPN.com. What makes Shedeur's response so notable is the tone. He could have sighed into the microphone, pointed at a clipboard, whispered the kind of I would have line that fuels internet outrage. Instead, he was measured. Of course you want the ball in your hands in that moment, he said, but that's not what football is. He explained they'd practiced something and executed it in practice, and he wouldn't go against the call. In public, his words were both the balm and the blade, calming for a locker room that needs cohesion, sharp enough to remind people that leadership isn't always loud. SI. Here's the human beat that matters. Shedeur didn't need to be the loudest voice. He didn't have to demand the ball. He could have been petty. He refused. That restraint tells you something about his football DNA. He's a kid raised in the glow of a Hall of Fame father, and yet he carries himself like he's building his own room in that house, not living off the furniture. That kind of composure is the kind of thing that can steady a locker room after mistakes. It doesn't erase the loss, but it might save the team from fracturing when the next crisis hits. Bro Bible. But let's not pretend optics don't matter. Fans don't just want competence, they want symbolic justice. Taking your best performer off the field in the game's biggest moment reads as a betrayal in the age of pointed tweets and short attention spans. That anger is real and viral. It will shape narratives in the next headline. Yet teams also have histories, hidden practices, personnel notes, and 1,000 little plays they prepare for the exact scenario of 2-point desperation. Stefanski saying, "That's on me," is part apology, part shield for his players, and part acknowledgement that coaching is an endless series of bets with imperfect information. As I now imagine the locker room the day after, the playbook sits heavy in the coach's hands. Players walk the halls with earbuds, replaying moments, searching for meaning. Shedeur sits differently than he did before this game. Proven, yet the focus of controversy. For him, this is both progress and a test. You can have your breakout stat line and still be excluded from the most important snap. The NFL is equal parts meritocracy and theater. How he and they respond will determine whether this becomes a defining moment or a footnote. There are lessons layered here beyond wins and losses. 1. Leadership often calls for humility when every instinct screams for ownership. 2. Coaches must balance trust and strategy in a world that will judge every choice on a highlight reel. 3. The narrative you build is as important as the plays you draw. Shedeur's grace in his answer didn't erase a failed conversion, but it earned him a different ledger in the public ledger, one that reads mature, team-first rookie rather than diva denied. That ledger matters inside a locker room. So what does this mean for the Browns' next chapter? It means a lot of small decisions will now be magnified. It means Stefanski's credibility takes a hairline crack that gets stress-tested every week. It means Shedeur will carry both the glow of his big day and the burden of an odd coaching decision. And it means the fan base will be loud. Some will demand answers. Some will stand by the kid who threw for 364 yards and ran for a touchdown. The team's true test isn't tonight's headlines. It's the next practice, the next halftime chat, the next time they face a gut decision in the fourth quarter. ESPN.com, if you want the blunt bottom line, the NFL is a short memory and a long contract. You win the next one, the controversy fades. You lose, and it becomes a thread that unravels into the season. Shedeur's statement after the game was small but telling. He didn't light the fire. He tried to put it out. That doesn't make the decision right or wrong. It makes the human story cleaner. It gives teammates a person to rally around when the noise gets louder. SI, in the end, football is a weird, uncompromising mirror. It shows you character when the lights are on and pressure when the cameras are close. This game gave us both, a rookie who played like fire and a coach who bet on a different kind of play. The scoreboard kept its final word, but the rest, the discipline, the choices, the quiet answers, that's the scaffolding teams use to rebuild. Watch the next week. Watch how they practice the two-point plays they now hate to think about. Watch who steps forward and who hangs back. And remember this line when people ask, a week from now, who was right? Sometimes the bravest thing a player can do is not shout about what he deserved, it's to keep being the person the team needs. He threw for 364 yards, hit 3 touchdown passes, ran 1 in himself, and still walked off the field with a loss. That's the brutal, beautiful contradiction of Shedeur Sanders' best NFL performance so far. A stat sheet that screams future starter, and a scoreboard that says not today. By halftime, he'd already done the flashy stuff. A perfectly placed dime to David Njoku, then a 60-yard strike to Jerry Jeudy that felt like a highlight from a highlight reel. He moved the offense with the kind of zip and feel scouts drool over. The kid who began the year 4th on the depth chart was operating like someone who belongs on Sundays. But this game was also a lesson in rookie edges. He had the to-be-expected miscues, a tipped pass turned into the Titans' pick-six swing, timing issues with receivers, and a desperation scramble that produced an intentional grounding call. Those plays didn't just look bad on film. One directly led to a Tennessee score that flipped the momentum. And still, the comeback. Down 31-17 with 5 minutes left, Sanders scrambled for a 7-yard touchdown and then engineered an 80-yard 7-play march to pull the Browns within striking distance. If you wanted a definition of clutch, that drive was it. He delivered under pressure, and the Browns found themselves with a real shot. Then came the moment that will be dissected for days. On the 2-point try to tie the game, the coaching staff pulled Sanders and ran a direct snap trick play to Quinshon Judkins. The snap was fumbled. The Browns lost 31-29. In the aftermath, the optics stung. The rookie who carved the comeback was standing on the sideline while a trick play tried to finish it. Sanders' response was exactly what you'd want to hear from a pro. Asked if he wished he'd been the one to take that snap, he didn't throw anyone under the bus. If I'm out there any play, I would wish I would always have the ball in my hands, he said. But that's not what football is. Sometimes you gotta run the ball, sometimes you gotta kick a field goal. I would never go against what the call was or anything. Classy, unflinching, and honest. The kind of answer that yanks the narrative away from locker room drama and back to the tape. Coach Kevin Stefanski owned the call bluntly. That's on me, he said when pressed about the failed conversion. He explained they had a plan with multiple 2-point plays and that the one that they ran didn't work. accountability from the sideline, but it doesn't erase the sting for fans who watch their rookie lead the charge and then be sidelined for the final act. For evaluators, the film is tantalizing and maddening at once. Sanders flashed elite traits: arm talent, improvisational poise, and late-game leadership, while also showing all the small, teachable mistakes that come with being a 24